Hello and welcome to a new edition of True Audio Files. My name's Jim Carter. So I'm going to talk today about half-speed mastering and whether it is better than your traditional standard mastering. So to kind of let you get a better understanding anyways of what half-speed mastering is, it's a process used in cutting the lacquer, which then ultimately becomes the record, where they slow the music down to half of its normal speed, and in turn, they get to cut the record at half the normal speed. And what that does is it creates less heat and friction. I don't want to say friction, but less heat on the cutting lathe, the needle on the cutting lathe, especially for high frequencies. This is supposed to help with less distortion, better clarity in the high-end frequencies when cutting, which also allows you to not roll off the highs as much as you normally would during the cutting of a record. Where you'll find this done in most places, basically, I'm quite certain all the Mobile Fidelity records are cut half speed. And also Abbey Road and Miles Showell, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, use this process on a lot of their albums that they cut, and they promote that very heavily on the ones that it's done to. So the question becomes, does it sound better? And that's a tough question to answer because I don't know of any circumstances where there is a same mastering or same cutting or same settings done during the cutting process besides the half-speed mastering to do a really close A/B comparison. Like, for example, there's not a Mobile Fidelity mastering that's done half-speed and then not half-speed that's essentially the same EQ changes and settings done besides the EQ and things like that that's required for half-speed mastering. Because keep in mind, because it's half-speed, it also changes things like the RIAA curve, which is needed to help records sound as good as they do. And if you want to go more into that, I'd be more than happy to just let me know in the comments sections. But basically, I don't know of an example where the same mastering is used and they do a half-speed master cut and then a standard cut. So there's no good way to make a comparison. I had some comments going back and forth with someone in one of my previous videos where they thought it was snake oil and it was a gimmick. And I mean, there are some technical merits to it supposing to sound better. Now, whether it truly sounds better or not is a different story. But what it really boils down to, and I think the biggest issue that a lot of people have a hard time overcoming, is the mastering, the initial mastering before you have to master to cut to the lacquer, makes a bigger difference than anything you do past that point. Not to say that half-speed mastering doesn't make a difference, not to say that the pressing doesn't make a difference, not to say that the materials that they use, the compound that they use for vinyl doesn't make a difference. All those things, without a doubt, make a difference, and they can be noticeable, especially the pressing and how well they get pressed. But before that, the original mastering that they are using to cut that vinyl, whether it's half speed or not, is much, much more important than whether it's half speed mastered or whether it's cut normally. So that's the first step. So, and because the discussion is, there's no difference between half speed and standard. And I'm not sure I would necessarily agree with that, but I can't really say legitimately that I know that to be true because, again, I have never seen something cut both ways with the same mastering. I would love to try that, but my experience has been there are some half-speed mastered stuff out there. Obviously Mobile Fidelity is one, but even for one prime example, because the biggest topic that came up was about the Abbey Road half-speed mastering, because one of the big things that I'm not sure if any of you know is when Abbey Road does their half-speed mastering, they do it with a digital file. He'll digitally transfer for the master tape, original master tape, if it was done analog, to digital, and then he will cut to half speed with to make these albums. Now, in many cases, they already are at the digital phase. Like one prime example that sticks out to me that I think was done really, really well were the Queen box set. Almost all of those sounded really good, and in many cases, I liked them at least as good as the original early pressings, if not better, which you can go back and look at my video. I've got the shootout. It's a two-parter on that Queen box set. But the Brian Eno reissues were done really well that way, and I believe there were Peter Gabriel ones that were done there at half speed, I believe, also, and those were done really well. Now, admittedly, those ones, I liked the original better, but I don't think it's because of the half-speed mastering. It just because they still sounded spectacular, and I would have been super happy with those half-speed masters if I didn't already have an early like British or UK pressing of some of the Peter Gabriel stuff to compare it to. It still sounded amazing, and it wasn't that much better. The original ones weren't that much better. So anyway, that's kind of my take on half-speed mastering. Technically speaking, it is an improvement and should give you better clarity, less distortion on the high frequencies when it's done. Now, again, it goes back to the original mastering. If that original mastering that they are cutting to the lacquer isn't very good, aka I know a lot of people have been complaining about the Rolling Stones ones, if that mastering is not good to begin with, garbage in, garbage out. But in my opinion, I feel that there's merit to half-speed mastering. But I would love to hear your take on it. I think the biggest thing about it is I don't know. I can see both sides of this, but I can't imagine why they would spend more time doing the half-speed mastering, because it takes twice as long to cut the record, if they didn't feel there was some benefit to it. Now, maybe it puts less wear and tear on their cutting lathe. Maybe that's the main reason why they do it. I don't know. But anyways, I don't feel that they would spend all that extra time doing a half-speed mastering if there weren't any true benefits to the final product. And in my opinion, when you have something that's been well mastered originally, a half-speed mastered pressing sounds amazing. So, but please let me hear your take on it. Leave your comments below, please. If you liked what you heard here, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, hit that alert bell so you know when my new videos are coming. Also, check out my social media pages, which I've got down below in the description. I have links to those there. But that's everything I've got for this week. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much, and have a great one.